Welcome, guys. Welcome. This is the special NBL cage match series entitled Unfinished Business. I'm your host, God Daniel X. Tonight we have a fantastic matchup. We have Chicago's very own Chicago chess blitzer, Stephen Jennings, aka the closer. You can find him on Lee Chess at Disco Steve, Dizco Steve. He is taking on this afternoon at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time an opponent out of Detroit, Michigan, by the name of Kameron Tolliver of the Detroit Chess Killers. His chess name is Just Like Music. All right, this is an interesting matchup, but to give a little pre-fight commentary and get into some analysis and some history, we have with us in the studio two members of both teams that are going to hash it out and talk about why they feel that their opponent or their player is going to take the cake in tonight's cage matchup. So let me introduce our two hosts. Please welcome to NBL Presents Unfinished Business, our first guest, candidate master Joseph Gadson. He is the head coach of the Detroit Sharks in season 3 of the NBL team battle, but he is also one of the founders of the Detroit Chess Killers, and he is representing Kameron Tolliver on today's broadcast. And we also have with us candidate master Aderemi Adekola, aka Mate Proof. You can find him as the head coach of the Atlanta Gorillas in NBL Season 3, but he is also a native of Chicago, and he is a member of the Chicago Chess Blitzers. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. Hey, it's good to see you, Gadson. We appreciate. I always appreciate having discussions with you. Gadson's actually a good brother, despite all of his bad qualities.
All right, so speaking of that, let's get straight into it, fellas. So first of all, declare your stake in tonight's battle. Who do you have? And give us your most obvious reason. Let's start off with the basics. Give your most obvious reason of why you feel they have the advantage tonight. Any one of you can begin.
I'll let Gadson go first.
Okay, so tonight, I'm definitely going with Cam Tolliver and a decisive victory. I'm predicting. I joked and said 19-2, but I'm thinking it's going to be something like maybe 17-4 in favor of Cam Tolliver.
Oh my gosh. Can I pause this for a second? I'm so sorry. I have to pause this because that was so stupid. Gadson deserves 7 stupid slaps. That was so stupid what you just said. I'm so sorry. Keep going, Gadson.
So the reason I'm picking that score is I think he's definitely going to shut Jennings out in Bullet. That's going to be 10-0 or 11-0. I forgot which one is 11 games. But
10 games Bullet and 11 games Blitz.
It's going to be 10-0 Bullet and 7-4 in Blitz. That's my prediction for the night.
Now, why such the wide margin when it comes to Bullet? Like, what's the rationale?
If you look at Steve Jennings' Bullet rating on Lee Chess, he's like 1997. Cam is a strong, high 2200 Bullet player on Lee Chess. That's a big difference in Bullet. If you play a lot of Bullet, those 200, 300 points almost, it's a huge gap in talent in Bullet. Cam is way faster. He's way sharper. He's way better. Jennings is very slow, and Bullet plays some slow attacks that's not going to get there on Cam. Cam is a defensive player, so he's going to just completely he's going to shut down all his attacks and just expose them in the end game.
Now, I did hear some similar comments in this past Tuesday when we had the cage match versus National Master Lamel Mack and National Master Dominic Myers. And they said a similar thing, that Lamel would trash Dominic based on ratings in the Bullet portion of the series, but it wound up coming down to sudden death. It was 11-10.
Exactly.
So, I get why you would say that, but I would just, be cautious because, it's easy to say that, but ratings tend to not matter, especially in matchups where styles play an important role.
Now, I definitely agree, and I was one of the people that assumed Lamel Mack was just going to trash Dominic Myers, and part of that reason is I literally just looked at their Bullet ratings and their Blitz rating on Lee Chess. I have never seen Dominic play in person. I've never seen him play, period. Mm-hmm. So I just went off ratings. In this case, I'm going off ratings and the fact that I've seen both of these guys play a lot of games.
Got you. All right, so Remy, we're going to come to you next. State your claim. Why do you have Steve? And give us some supporting details of why you feel that he will come out on top in tonight's matchup.
Looks like you very much.
Some camera issues.
Hold on one second. Give me just a second to clear that up. It'll give me about 5 seconds here. And that will be all cleared, and we won't have that happen again. All right, we should be all good now, right?
Yes.
All good.
All right. So first of all, I'd like to say, man, my Gadson is a highly intelligent individual, very highly intelligent. You can tell the way he speaks and the arguments that he presents, which is why I'm so shocked that he just said all of these stupid things that just came out of his mouth. Let me just start with that. First of all, Gadson, that's pure tomfoolery, the things that you just mentioned. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I've had both of these guys on my team. Last season, I had Tolliver on my team in the National Bliss League. Yes, I had Tolliver, and I was very happy with his performance. So he is a very strong player. And Steve, when we play 2-on-2 battles in chess, in matches against others, Steve is my regular teammate. And this is what I'll say about both of them. Steve is the closer for a reason. Tolliver chokes. He was my teammate. I respect him. His game is good, but he chokes under pressure. And it's one thing to have a high blitz rating when you're playing casual chess. But when you're under the pressure, when you know that everybody in Detroit is watching you, when you know that your name is going to be besmirched if you lose to Chicago, he's going to fold under the pressure. I've seen it time and time again. And I know that Steve is going to put the pressure on him and Tolliver is going to fold. Now, the game, I believe, will be close because Tolliver is very, very strong and very impressive in his ability to withstand heat. But when it comes down to those last few games and they're battling it out, I just know he's going to falter under the pressure. So I'm predicting a very close game. Steve wins it by about 3 or 4 games. I have some stats that I'd like to bring in to back that up.
Please provide us with the stats. Take it.
All right. Now, I'm going on some history here. Steve and Tolliver have played head-on, face-to-face over the board. And Gadson knows and is very well aware of what happened. Steve and Cam went back and forth, and Steve pretty much had the upper hand, was whipping Tolliver like a stepchild and abusing him grotesquely. And Tolliver didn't like it, came back, evened the series up a little bit. They had some controversy, and then they said they would settle it with a 1-game takes all. And guess who won? Convincingly. Steve Jennings mated him in about 8 moves. It was ridiculous.
8? Come on, this is too high a level of chess for somebody to be checkmated in 8 moves.
And when I tell you that Cam will choke under the pressure, I'm talking about serious choke. He was touching 4 and 5 pieces at a time. He didn't know what move to make. It was ridiculous. It was real bad. It was real bad. And I'm kind of expecting the same thing. Even though he has a mouse, I'm pretty sure he won't know what piece to move in the match. It's going to be, when the pressure comes, Steve is going to cook Tolliver. And that's just one. I have several. I'd like Gadson to go ahead and reply. I know he's itching to say something.
Yeah, I'm itching because the match Remy is referring to, Remy is 100% correct. We ended up agreeing. It was a controversial match. We ended up agreeing on a draw, and then they had a winner takes all game. We played a winner takes all game for the trophy. Jennings did win, but I also like to mention in that same match, Cam scored the most points of any player on both sides. Cam beat Tim Donahue 6-2, and I believe he beat G Wayne and 5-3. Cam was the leading scorer in that match. So yeah, you can call it choke. I call it fatigue. He just lost 1 game towards the end, and he was trailing Jennings 3.5, 2.5 in that match, I believe, before everything happened, and then the controversy came in. So Jennings was up, but if you look at the elite chess rating, Cam is up 7-4. Jennings also got smashed that match. I think Jennings had a total of 10.5 or 11 points that match out of a possible 32. Well, we're going to say 28 because about 4 games weren't played. So he had like 11 out of 28. He was the lowest performer on both sides, including myself, and I played like complete trash that whole match. So, and then when you want to say choking, Jennings has had 2 other matches. He beat Andrew Bryant, who really doesn't count, like badly. He doesn't count. But I'm gonna give him his praise on that. He beat him like, what was it, 18-3 or 17-4? It was something. It was bad.
It was 18-2. OTB, no computer clicks. OTB, hands on the floor, 18-2.
So I give him his credit for that. But he also played JJ Lane, and he was up 7-4 on JJ. So when you talk about choking, he was up 3-4 points and lost that match.
Again, you can see the high intelligence and the high IQ that Gadson has. He comes with a lot of stats, and it's obvious that he came to this very well prepared. But Gadson leaves out two very critical components, and these are things that you just cannot overlook. And one is mental fortitude. Now, yes, Steve did allow JJ Lane to come back in, and that was I'd like to call a unicorn occurrence. It was very unlike Steve. Whereas Kameron chokes on a regular basis. I will say, yes, he was leading the event. And like you said, he was a high performer, high scorer in that event. But when the pressure was on, when the cameras got turned on, and he was spotlighted, all I could think is Reggie Miller. And this is all I could think. Choke, baby. When the camera was on, that boy, the mental stamina that it's going to take to play these games, knowing everybody's watching, knowing the commentary is on it. See, Steve has played on a high level in front of the camera for years. He's used to it. He's been successful in the basketball scene. He's done it on the chess scene. Whereas Kameron Tolliver, although he's solid and extremely strong, and I would pick him to be on my team at any point, I would not let Kameron take the last shot. I will Steve. I'm not letting him take the last shot, but I will let Steve. I want the ball in his hands at the end. And when this game goes down, the mental fortitude of Steve is going to come through. The second thing is this: experience. Tolliver does not have the cage match experience. Steve has been in the cage match. He knows what's going to happen. He knows the pressure that you're under. He's experienced. This is going to be Kameron Tolliver's first cage match, and he's a baby. He's just not going to be ready. He's a baby. He's not going to be ready. Yeah, of course, he was born and raised on the streets of Detroit, and you can say that. He's ready because of what Detroit brings, but no, it's a totally different story when those cameras turn on. Go ahead, Gadson.
Yeah, I got to get in on there because I got to correct some inaccuracies there.
And sit up just a little bit for us, Joe, if you can, while you're making your statement. There you go.
Yeah. This isn't Cam's first cage match. This is actually his third.
Wait a minute. Who else did he face? Let me look up some stats.
Now, he played Tom Murphy in Tom Murphy's hometown during the Chicago Open, which Murphy came out the victor, but Cam played great. Cam actually beat him in a 5-minute portion, but he lost badly.
I do recall that. I didn't know that was a cage match.
Yeah, that was a cage match. Cam won the 5-minute portion, and then Murphy won the 3-minute portion. And Murphy came out.
Okay, yeah.
Then after that, Big Pawn, Cedric Crew came down to Detroit. They played a cage match.
They played a cage match.
They played a cage match.
Was it broadcast?
Nate was there. Nate recorded it. This was the same day that Murphy played John Brooks in a cage match.
I do recall.
And if I remember correctly, that score was 11-4 in favor of Cam. Cam completely destroyed Big Pawn. And I got love for Big Pawn. He's a good guy, but he got destroyed that match. You know what this reminds me of, actually? And this is why I'm so surprised that Chicago even wanted this match. This reminds me of, like, when we were kids and you get beat up and you go home and you get your big brother. But this is the opposite. It's like Big got beat up and went home and got his little brother. So I'm like, how does this even make sense?
Now
it's
that
like
was
got his little brother.
Now that was very,
but
very funny.
Now, Joseph, I do feel like Remy brings up. I mean, you bring up some valid points too, because that's actual facts and that's good data. But I do want to acknowledge the fact that Remy highlighted Steve's experience as a competitor. That goes beyond chess. And one thing about the lights, man, we've seen people that play phenomenal chess, OTB, online, when it's just the fellas. But the moment they know that they're being streamed, when the comments are rolling in, when people are in the chat, half of the world praising you, half of the world degrading your name, you know that there's so much burden. And who's more experienced in this regard to shine under that type of pressure and under those type of lights? I mean, even though he had those cage matches, think about it. Remy wasn't even aware that they weren't broadcast, which means that there wasn't lights on it. So he won against Pond, lost against Tom Murphy, but the pressure wasn't there. These are little sidebar matches happening at Chicago Opens and stuff like that. What happens when you're streaming before the world and people can go back and press play and see what happened?
Yeah, Gadson. Yeah, Gadson.
The match that he beat Pond, it was streaming, and you got to think that was Cam was here. That match happened here. Cam could not lose here in Detroit to a Chicago guy. He couldn't. So he had a ton of pressure on him because we was gonna trash Cam if we had lost that match. And he handled business. He handled his business.
Well, Gadson, I'd like to know. I'd like to put a little wager on this. I feel like if Cameron loses, you should be. I want to see you do 20 push-ups on stream, and I want you to count out loud. Chicago is the greatest. Chicago is the greatest. Chicago is the greatest for every push-up you do.
Is that an accepting of that invitation, of that challenge? Because we do have data, Joseph, of Detroit losing several different various types of matches to Chicago. We have foot races on camera. We have chess matches on camera. We have a lot.
It's funny because I actually raced both of y'all.
And we have some footage of you on the ground, Gadson.
We got footage of Lou tripping me, don't we?
Now, you haven't accepted the invitation yet. First, we need to find out if you're accepting this push-up challenge.
I'm going to accept it because I actually owe somebody else some push-ups for something else. I made a bet in the director's chat. I forgot I owe somebody. I think it's Mark Johnson. I owe Mark 25 push-ups. So I might as well do
20 push-ups while you're saying Chicago is the greatest. And I want you to say, darn that, Steve. Chicago is the greatest. Darn that, Steve. If Steve pulls this out.
Okay, I accept if you accept. Same terms when Cam win tonight.
And can you be specific because we want this recorded? We want this recorded. Be specific, Joseph. What does he have to say?
He has to do push-ups. Matter of fact, you got to wear a suit too. Because you got to wear that. You got to wear a suit and you got to do your push-ups. And you're going to say, what are you going to say? I got to think of something. I think of what to say. And then
it won't matter. I'm not going to have to say anything. Steve is going to whoop Tolliver. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good match. I'm expecting a very close game, but I know Steve is going to pull it out at the end. It's going to be those last few games where it's going to be decided. And I'm sure Cam is going to crack under the pressure. I can already foresee it. Just call me a prophet.
And actually, you know what? I'm not sure if you guys realize, but this is actually the 9th match between the two crews.
And by crews, you mean Chicago Chess Blitzers and Detroit Chess Killers, right?
Yep. This is the 9th match, actually.
Okay, state them and state the results.
Okay. We have Kenny and Daniel. Daniel won that one.
Wait a minute. Cameron Tolliver went against Daniel?
No, James Canty.
Oh, Canty. I recall that.
Yeah, y'all remember when I put my foot deep. Come on, see the guns,
deep into
baby.
that Masters behind. I think that kind of set the tone for everything. You all have.
And that was before I had my National Master title, by the way. Just to be clear on that.
Exactly.
That's when I was climbing the ranks.
Okay. Then we had Jones beating Morrow.
Oh, another one. Oh, God, coming through.
God.
Oh,
you just.
Oh,
what is this?
You
just beating. Just. Oh my goodness.
I own Detroit. Matter of fact, go give me a skyscraper downtown and name it. Name it Chicago.
Hold on. I'm not finished. Now we got the team match. Y'all beat us in the team match.
Thoroughly. Thoroughly.
Goodness.
We didn't even finish it. The scores were so lopsided. Got you.
Then you have Murphy beating Cam.
Oh, that's 4-0.
4-0 to start.
Then you have me and G Wayne. We tied.
A draw. 4.
Oh, that was a draw?
5.
Yep. Then you have the 4-on-4.
How come you all didn't close that out, Gadson? How come y'all didn't win or take all?
I mean, we just wasn't going to play one game for $1,000, basically.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we had too much money on it to just put it on one game. I mean, it just didn't make sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good match. We had fun.
Right.
That was good enough for both of us. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so that came out of tie.
Then we have the 4-on-4 that came out of tie. Even though they did win a trophy in that little match.
Right.
Then, okay, hold on. So y'all up 4-0 with 2 ties. Then you have
that'll be 5-1, sir. Let's keep accurate data here with chess players. 5-1.
Okay, 5-1. Then you have Cam beating Pawn, right?
Okay, 5-2.
Yes.
You have D beating G Wayne.
5-3.
Yes.
Then you have Brooks beating Murphy.
Oh wow.
5-4.
Yeah.
Then you have, I'm not even sure if y'all aware of this, but D and JJ had a match that they streamed.
JJ Lang?
And JJ?
D beat JJ in a match.
Wait a minute. When did this
when was
happen?
this?
This was like maybe when D first started Dog Walk Fridays. So maybe 8 months ago.
All right, that's too long ago. JJ Lang was not a Chicago Chess Blitzer at that point. He's one of the recent new members of the Chicago Chess Blitzers. We didn't even know the match.
Exactly. We didn't even know the match was going on. We would have prepped him. We would have
we would have supported him
in the ring prepping.
Yeah.
He
would have played some of our top dogs to get in shape,
Exactly.
Okay, if you say that, then the Candy and Jones match was before we even started the Detroit Chess Killers. So that shouldn't count if that's the case.
I mean, you can state that, but it was clear that he was Detroit. He showed up in Michigan apparel, sir. We have the video. Michigan apparel, muscle shirt. Michigan homeboys online commenting that we got comments saved. He's in Chicago. Chicago Chess Blitzers was alive. I know that much.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
exactly.
Okay,
he came into the Lions Den and
compound,
the big grizzly bear and left a little bitty cub.
Wait. Hey, Remy.
Yes.
I have something that I want. You got your slap music, right?
I do.
All right, I
was saving it for Gadson if he said something really stupid, but he didn't.
All right, I have something that I would like to share with the audience. Where is it? It's not loud enough. But I had a lion roar that I used to use on my midday massacres.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that.
Because Canty came into the Lion's Den, but he didn't make it out. He was marred, scalded. His muscle shirt was torn. His ball cap was backwards. His shoe was missing. His shoestrings was hanging out. But all that to say that Chicago is ahead. That's all that you said.
Some of the ink from his tats was dripping off.
This is part of my issue with Chicago. Y'all want to be like Detroit so bad. Like Lions, that's clearly Detroit. Clearly. That's clearly Detroit.
Lion is universal, sir. There's no lions roaming around Detroit. The lions are universal.
That's clear. That's like us. That's like Detroit saying we're a cub or we're a bull. That's clearly Detroit. Y'all stole jitting. Y'all stole footworking.
Oh, that's so
funny.
Fellas, Gadson, one thing we can say is you are humorous. That is one thing.
So, fellas, we got to bring this to a close. But I need a final score, accurate official prediction for tonight's match. Let's not be crazy and just put our chest out and say some crazy numbers. Give me realistic depictions of tonight's match.
I'm going 13-8.
13-8 in favor of Stephen Jennings, the closer.
Stephen Jennings, yes.
All right. And Joseph Gadson, to you?
I'm going 17-4 Cam.
17, like 1-7 to 4.
1-7 and 4.
Daniel?
Yes.
Now he's done it.
He gets the vintage "Are You Stupid" slap.
That's all right. Stupid slap.
That sounds preposterous to me. I know that Steven, being who he is, even if it was a certified bona fide master, he's definitely going to get more than 4 games. But to each his own. Those are your predictions. Only time will tell. And we will be streaming tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Coming to you live. I want you guys in the comments. Make sure you guys go to twitch.tv/National Blitz League. Like it, subscribe to it, follow it, all of that good stuff. And make sure that you stay in tune with our cage matches by joining our group on Facebook at NBL Cage Matches. And you can also follow the page National Blitz League. Until next time, we thank our 2 guests on today's show. Joseph Gadson, the head coach of the Detroit Sharks. We wish you the best. Your team is doing a phenomenal job thus far in the season. And the Atlanta Gorillas head coach, Remy Adekola. Atlanta Gorillas made a monster of a statement this past Lightning Arena, but we look forward to having more from them in the near future. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, good job, guys. It was good being with both of you.
Thank you.
Likewise.